Hey friends, Nibs again, out at the range again, doing a little plinking, doing a couple videos. Wanted to get out and just get out. Been working all day, so wanted to get out and just do a little bit of relaxation. Get you guys a couple of videos, a couple of neat old guns that I've had for quite a while. This particular video here is going to be on one that's actually quite near and dear to my heart. And you guys that are on my Facebook and MeWe page will probably recognize this old timer here, but this one here that I'm going to show you today is a Mossberg model 146BA, which you know, for most people probably is not much of a remarkable gun, but this one has quite a bit of family history for me. And personal history for me. So as far as the actual model goes, they made this 146BA in like the mid 50s. Best I can tell, it's like maybe like 53 to 56, 57, something like that. Not exactly sure when they discontinued, but they come out with the 146B in 49. They made that for a couple years, and then they made a couple of changes, which I don't know what they were, and started with the BA in like 53 or so. This particular one was actually, as far as I can tell from talking to people in the family, this one was actually bought for my father when he was a teenager, which would have been in the mid 50s. This gun's been in our family ever since then. This particular one is actually the first real gun that I ever shot. I had a Red Ryder before this, but that's an air gun. I mean, this is the first real powder burning, primer striking gun that I ever shot as a kid. Probably, I guess I'm 10 or 11 years old, maybe 9 years old. I can't really remember, but I do know this was the first gun. When my dad had it and I was shooting it when I was younger, it had a little tiny cheap, but I don't think it was original from way back in the 50s, but it was like a Tasco or something like that, just something real cheap, 4X scope on it. I still have it, kind of keep that as an heirloom too, but so I shot this thing going all through my teenage years. I probably put thousands of rounds through it myself during my teenage years. I'd go out squirrel hunting and rabbit hunting, and I didn't know it was illegal, but I'd go out grouse hunting with it. Later on, I come to find out it was not legal to hunt a grouse with a 22, at least in New York. You have to use a shotgun for grouse. But I took quite a few critters with this thing, and it's one of the few that I did end up getting from my father's collection. When my father passed away, my uncle ended up taking most of the guns. I did get one gun out of my dad's collection that I still have, and I'll do a video on that one someday soon. But this one, along with several others, my uncle ended up inheriting and getting when my father passed away. And it was probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 years later that my uncle ended up passing away unexpectedly. My father was the oldest of, he was the only child of the couple that was his mother and father, and then they divorced. My grandmother had 2 more kids, a son and a daughter, and my grandfather had 2 more kids, 2 sons. But my uncle on my grandmother's side, he was the one who ended up taking these. All my aunts and uncles are quite a bit younger than my dad, by probably like 10 or 12 years. My aunt is only a couple, like 4 or 5 years older than I am, I think. But anyway, so he unexpectedly passed away from I think it was pneumonia maybe, or a bad case of the flu. Unfortunately, he just collapsed at his house, and nobody knew about it for a couple days. So, but anyway, so when my aunt, his sister, was dividing up the estate, I asked her, I said, I'd like to get a few of my dad's guns back. So I was able to get this one and a couple others that I'll do videos on as well. But I especially wanted this one because of the history I had with it, because it was something that I grew up shooting, knowing, and any of you guys know me to any great extent, watching my Walnut and Steel channel, you know I love these 22s with the tube feed, and this is really what kind of spurred that and brought that on. So I shot a couple of groups already. I shot one at 50 yards. So I put 5 rounds in here, and I shot one at 25, one at 50, one at 25, one at 50, one at 25. So the 3 at 25 yards are almost touching each other. The 2 at 50 yards are almost one hole. You can tell it's two rounds though. And I'm shooting this, got to get another box, shooting this Gecko rifle. I did try some Aguila, and it did okay. Not nearly as good as that, as the Gecko though. I'm just going to give you guys a little heads up. So I'm having a little bit of issue with light strikes with this guy. I'm not sure. Probably just needs cleaning. Maybe the oil. I haven't had this out in a while, so but probably just oil gummed up in the bolt for the firing pin, the spring for the firing pin. So I had more light strikes with the Aguila. The Gecko was a little bit better. Only had 1 or 2 with that, and every time it did light strike, recocking it, and then firing again, it went no problem. So it is what it is. So a tube feed, you got to close it, and then so when you close it, it actually pushes down a little lever inside there that lets the first round in the tube actually progress underneath the bolt. So now when I pull it up, it'll bring a round up onto the bolt face and chamber around. So I'll shoot a couple. So I'll do 5 at 25 yards here, and then we'll put 5 more, and I'll go to see, yeah, light strike. I just pull it up, push it back down, and when I get it home, I'll pull it apart and clean all those parts up with some brake cleaner, all the bolt parts, take it all apart and clean them all up and re-oil them with some good oil. So that is the things that can happen when you're, you have a gun that hasn't been used in quite a while, and I don't think I took it out at all in 2020, so it's the first time this year I've had it out. So it's probably at least the summer of 2019 was the last time it was out, so could have been even longer than that. I don't know. All right, so that's the last one of that 5. So a couple of the other guns that I have that were part of my father's collection, so to speak. He didn't have a ton of guns, but he had some pretty neat stuff. I have the one that I actually inherited directly when my father passed away was a Browning Superposed, and it's actually a Superposed Lightning, so it's actually a kind of higher end with the engraving and all that sort of stuff in it. Unfortunately, it is from the 60s, so it's one of those assault guns, but it's still cool. I mean, I shot some trap with it, and several times I did 25 straight without missing. And that was without any practice with me at all. So anyway, that's so frustrating. One of the other guns I got, I actually showed it on my Walnut and Steel this morning, is a Savage model 840 in 222. I'll have to get that one out and do a nice video on that one too soon. That one was that was one that my dad picked up. I know he bought it in the 80s, and they were made in the 80s. I have no idea if he bought it brand new or not. I kind of suspect that he did, but so that one's been in my family pretty much its whole life, if not its whole life. One more. So it seems like as it's warming up, maybe the oil is loosening up in there that was gummed up, and spoke too soon. Hey friends, just want to throw in a little snippet here on this Mossberg 146BA. Actually, after I finished the video, an old friend stopped by here at the range and was testing out one of his 357 revolvers that he just picked up. But I told him I was having problems with this light strike, and he says, check to make sure the back end of the bolt's screwed on. So I never heard of that. Probably would have caught it when I got home to mess with it, but so there's this back piece screws on, and that actually puts the tension on the firing pin spring. So it was actually screwed out about 1/4 of an inch. So he said it was probably about ready to pop off of there. But anyway, I screwed it back down, and I've shot it probably about 10 or 15 rounds out of it. Had a single light strike. So problem solved. Alright, so that's the last one. I'll put a couple little snippets of video in there showing those two bullseyes and how we did on that one. Alrighty friends, here's the results for the target for the Mossberg 146BA. So this is the 25-yard target. Here we have 4 touching each other and 1 flyer about maybe 3/8 of an inch away. So that's a pretty darn good group for my tired old eyes looking through iron sights. So this is 3 shots here of that I told you about. I did off camera. All these other hits up here from the other rifle that I was shooting. It's a smooth bore with a rifle adapter on it, so it really leaves a little bit to be desired as far as overall accuracy, but it's pretty cool that it can shoot even that good with through a smooth bore. So anyway, I'll cut it off and head out to 50. Alrighty friends, here's the 50-yard target for the Mossberg 146BA. Little vertical stringing going on there, but I'm sure that's just my tired old eyes. this little tiny dot at 50 yards through a peep sight is pretty hard to see. So, but overall, I'll take that. So here's that one I was telling you about, where the two bullets were actually touching each other that I shot beforehand. So, alrighty, back to the video. So, like I said, this one is one that, you know, is actually, you know, even though it's not the greatest rifle in the world, it's probably by far one of my favorites, just because of its history with me and all that, and I'm glad to have it. And someday I'll probably hand it off to my son so he can have it, but I'll be much older before that happens. I'll be able to barely hold it up, and then he can have it. So anyway, I hope you like this video. If you do, give me a thumbs up. Down in the you can subscribe to my channel too, and then when I do post up new videos, you'll get a notification for that. Down in the description, I have a link for my Patreon page, and finally on Facebook and MeWe, I have a collectors group called Walnut and Steel. If you want to look that up and you know, join up there, we talk about cool old guns like this pretty much on a daily basis, and have a lot of fun doing it. So, all right, I hope you have a great day, and I'm going to go do some more plinking. Thanks a lot.